please introduce yourself, your role in the company, and what department you're working in?
Hi, so my name is Harold King. I'm the program manager for one of our product and resource accounts in Cognizant Technology Solutions. So my department is called Jack in a Box. I'm under the retail process. By retail, I mean we cater to desktop support for restaurants in the States. So Jack in a Box actually is my client. They have 2,200 restaurants in the States, and they call in on our help desk for IT support on point of sale and back office services.
Okay. As a manager, how do you interact with clients?
So we have scheduled interactions with clients almost on a daily basis. So we have regular status calls, which is to talk about how well the desk is performing, severity discussions and things like that. We also have scheduled weekly reviews for weekly performance of the desk. We also have scheduled meetings on updates and upcoming changes on services.
What are the most important decisions you make as a manager?
So I think the most important things are processes or decisions that would affect two very important demographics in my department, which is the people and service delivery. So the people meaning, of course, making sure that my staff are adequately taken care of in terms of coaching, information that they need to do their job effectively and things of that nature. The other aspect of the decision-making process is making sure that our contractual obligations, of course, to our clients are met on a week-on-week basis, on a day-to-day basis, in fact, in operations.
As a manager, what would you say has been your biggest contribution to this company?
So Cognizant is big on process improvements. We have a lot of practice in Lean and Six Sigma. So I think the biggest contribution I've had for my project at least is cost savings out of numerous projects that we've implemented within the process, right? So we've reduced cost to a certain percentage, which is not only beneficial for the company in terms of financials, it's also beneficial for my staff, which makes their jobs easier.
What skills would you say every manager should have?
There's always, I think, two major skills that people need to have before even thinking about managing, which is, one is people skills, and second is analytical skills. So the analytical aspect would be trying to understand how to deliver numbers, how to analyze, how to pinpoint what kind of data points you need to figure out or drive to deliver on your requirements. And of course, the second aspect of that is the people skills, because no matter how good your numbers or your analysis is, without the people really driving or motivated people or the right kind of people to execute on that, you're not going to be successful.
What is the key to being a successful manager?
I think being a manager is it's a tough gig, right? There's a lot of decisions that you have to make that are not popular. There's also a lot of major decisions that you make that would be beneficial for your staff, right? So I think the keys for being a successful manager is being able to balance both, being passionate about, not just the numbers and not just delivering on your contractual obligations and things of that nature, but really being genuinely passionate about your people and developing them and making sure they're good leaders in the future so they can take over at some point.
So what would you say has helped you grow and develop as a leader?
So experience in this industry is very diverse. We have a lot of trainings on a lot of different aspects, both numbers and people, which is great. So we have T&D, we have monthly training, not just for me, but for my staff as well. So it's a 360-degree overview of training. We also have training and development plan for each job grade. So I am actually, in fact, required to do training before I move on to the next level. So that's very common practice.
How is the information passed from the manager to its employees?
There's a couple of methods to that. Your most common being written via email or memos. So if you have process updates, notices, reminders, things of that nature. That's the common medium. Second common medium is huddles or town halls, where you actually gather a group of people and hold or conduct a formal meeting, right? So you can discuss as a leader what your objectives are, what your status is in the business, and things like that. And of course, you have your informal, or excuse me, your formal one-on-one coaching, which is more specific to individual employees, and that's a little bit more targeted into subjects that are around that individual's performance.
In planning on your department or on your company, how do you set your objectives and decide on what actions are to be taken to achieve these objectives?
So there's a couple of things to consider. So think about, it always starts on the contractual goals first, which is what is laid out on the deal, right? When you, for example, for Jack in the Box, when we start, because I've been with JAB for since day one, and the very first thing that was introduced to us was what are the key performance indicators or service level agreements. So like, for example, if you need to answer a certain number of tickets within a specific duration, depending on the severity of the issues that are called into your desk and things of that nature. So understanding that piece of it is the first thing. Second is, of course, crunching the numbers and trying to identify how many people you're going to need to execute that. And then once you have all that together, hiring the right people, it's part of the transition process. And then you set your objectives. So the objective is, of course, to meet all your requirements. The objective is to grow people at a certain time, etc.
How do you group or develop the structure of the relationship between the employees to carry out the task planned?
So when you say group, that means you want to team up together people who would do well on an objective. That's one of the key essential for a manager as well, which is when this gets thrown a lot, knowing your people, which means knowing their strengths and weaknesses would really come a long way, so that you can pair people up with good strengths and then think of other people who have compatible weaknesses or strengths that would complement each other and make it easier for them to attain any task or objective.
As a leader, how do you ensure that the process to attain the set of objectives goes smoothly or exactly as planned?
So, in my experience, defect would always happen, meaning somebody would always make a mistake. I mean, for a million transactions that we make, there's always a certain percentage where people would fail. Now, the way you address that is information is very key. We need to make sure that process updates, rollouts, new information are rolled out to the floor. And we need to, I always make sure that my team leads huddle their team to make sure that all the information on a daily basis is cascaded down the line. I think another aspect of that is holding people accountable for their performance and their compliance. And the way you do that is through memos, through sign-off sheets and things like that.
So, being a manager, how do you inspire or motivate your employees to attain the organizational objectives?
So there's several layers of motivational techniques and approaches. So from a company perspective, you have your bonus, you have your incentives, you have your mid-year review and your year-end appraisal review, which of course managers provide their direct reports, and consequently they get their bonus depending on that rating. That's one. There's also a jack-in-the-box level or an account level engagement where we get a certain budget and we get that budget to spend on incentives and rewards and recognitions for staff, good performance, be it for attendance or for performing really well in a certain project and things like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.